Did we say anything funny yet to put at the beginning?
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Pot of Thunder, the recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting. It's... Oh, I don't want to tell you. Guess who? Oh, one guess.
Here's my buddy Andy.
That's right. I can't fool you.
Sounds like the guy behind you at the show last night before things got away from him.
Yeah. Well,
So more on that later.
yeah, definitely. And to my immediate left, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Garlic Dragon. Gnarly Nick. There he is.
Bam! Bam!
Ooh. And last but not least, Nick, could you go up on the ladder and make sure the roof is on tight?
I'll clamp it down.
Yes, please. Okay, good. Because over here, ladies and gentlemen, the breakout star of the podcast medium, put your hands together for...
Yeah, you better say my name and say it right, motherfucker.
That's right. It's Chris L. There he is. All right. You know, I felt rusty doing that whole thing. It's been so long since we've done a show.
I'm enjoying that the fade out is longer and it's messing with you. I mean, it's.
Oh, at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun because the crowd noise is going for a little while.
I haven't timed it right.
I
yet.
like it though. It's good.
Yeah, work in progress.
Without a net, you know.
That's
it's
right.
Fun.
Yep. No pre-production here. No planning. No rehearsal. No bullshit.
Wow.
So last
The results shouldn't surprise anyone.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a revelation when you
No.
listen to the show.
Yeah. So last night, huh? This is Sunday, what is this, the 3rd? Yeah, the 3rd of March. This is the day before this podcast goes live. Chris is walking around.
Yeah, it's too bright, man. We were all out late last night.
Yeah, we usually do this Wednesday or Thursday night. We're sitting here on a Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. here.
Lazing on a Sunday afternoon.
I knew that was
Well, you started it with the Queen.
You put the
LP
album on.
Yeah.
Isn't that a Kink song?
No,
No,
that's
that's from-
Night at the Opera.
No, I think it's also a Kink song,
Is
but
it?
whatever.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm gonna say
Look
no,
it up.
but yeah.
you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to figure this out.
All right, so last night we all, in our own groups, went to the United Center in Chicago. And
We're
saw-
like Cream, kind of that way.
we traveled in our own
Yeah.
caravans. I don't know.
No. Only at Showtime are we together.
Yeah.
And, yeah, entirely separate aside from that.
Yep. And we saw the Kiss End of the Road tour. How about it, guys? What do you think?
Great show.
Yeah, right.
Undeniable. I mean, most of it, the stage show was a little different. They mixed it up, added some stuff, whatever. Song-wise, pretty much, nothing was a surprise, but it still sounded great.
Right.
Can't complain about it.
No,
It was
definitely
a great
not.
show.
I mean, it's exactly what you'd want it to be, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted a bunch of deep cuts and stuff, you're not getting it. Sorry.
No.
Spoilers if you were waiting for the show to come
if
to
you
your
were
town.
expecting it, then that's your own problem.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're a citizen of this planet and you're a fan of music and you're not aware of setlist.com,
Yeah.
okay, get with it.
Yeah.
Sort it out, you slugs.
Yeah.
It's all out there. There aren't any surprises anymore.
No. I didn't look at the set list ahead of time. I knew pretty much what was in it just from seeing clips. I mean, you know what's always going to be there.
Mhm.
But then I knew Say Yeah was in the set because I saw something
You know what?
from a previous city.
I saw a post because I've been kind of purposely not looking into it and trying to avoid stuff leading up to this. I saw talk of Hide Your Heart.
It was in the set early in the tour, and it's gone.
Okay, because I was like
Not replaced with anything, just deleted.
Really?
that was one that I was expecting just because I had heard talk of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in the first few shows, then it went away.
This must not have been working, huh?
You know, Say Yeah didn't really go over that well from my perception. I mean, I enjoyed it, but the crowd reaction was pretty...
Well, nobody knows that song,
Lackluster.
let's be honest.
It's easy to say it, though. Yeah. I mean, he did the whole thing before the
Well,
song. This is what I need you to do.
And I don't know anything, obviously. None of us do, but that song seems to be like how people feel about Love Gun, where it was like Paul said this is a great song, and he's relentlessly said this is a great song, so people believe it. That's kind of, I think, how he must be with Say Yeah, because I remember seeing an interview when the album first came out, Sonic Boom, and it was something where he'd written it and nobody else wanted to do it. They didn't think it was strong enough.
Even for the album?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he kept pushing it. And that's kind of, I feel like it's a song he's in love with, and that's why it's in there. Not necessarily because the crowd.
Yeah,
I like it too.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the song, but it's one of the. It was the song. Let's face it, it was the one that less people reacted to.
If there was one, that would be the one.
Yeah, and that's fine, because why shouldn't there be a moment like that in the show?
Yeah, and the other thing working against it is because of the Walmart agreement, it's not on any streaming services.
Yeah.
So unless you own the hard copy, you're not going to become familiar with it.
That's true.
And nobody's going out of their way to acquire hard copies of music anymore, except for Nick, of course.
Can you still get that at Walmart?
I don't know.
Or is it like
I don't
almost
step foot in that cesspool?
That's right.
Now, wasn't there a question at the Q&A a few years ago with Paul Stanley at the Indianapolis Expo that we went to, where someone asked about that? Is it a 10-year expiration before it can be released digitally?
Oh, we're coming up on that.
That would be this year.
That would be this year.
He didn't say one way or the other that he knew at that time, but if that's true,
I think the person asking the question knew more than Paul Stanley did.
It was probably one of those where the guy knew the answer already. Probably.
He's like, I'm not worried about it right now.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Yeah, and Paul was also probably confused by the fact that the question wasn't of the "my uncle touched me back in the day" variety.
Right.
Can I come up and get a hug because of that?
Yeah.
It was an actual question that had a set answer, and he didn't know how to answer it.
Yeah.
So.
He just gave the guy a hug.
Yeah.
10 years? I don't know. How about a hug?
Yeah.
That should have been his answer. Well, he didn't know the answer really to my question. He should have just given me a hug.
Yeah, you should have gotten one too.
Yeah.
I got kind of ripped off, I guess.
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of ripped off, we were talking again. I'm just using that as a segue. It's not applicable here, but we were talking about the price of the merchandise. Again, this stuff is on the wall. The price is there. Why complain about it? Either buy it or don't.
Yeah.
And you're not getting ripped off if you see the price and you agree to buy it. You will be getting ripped off if you agree to buy a $75 baseball jersey and you don't get it. They simply don't give it to you. Then you got ripped off.
Or they say $25 and then they charge your card $75.
Right.
That's a rip.
Yeah, or they say, well, this one only has one sleeve on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't
so,
put your arms through.
Again,
both arms in one sleeve.
It's sewn shut on.
It's right in the
end.
middle.
Yeah, the middle of the back. But the price is steep as you would imagine. What do you
I don't.
It makes you.
Everybody I saw coming out of that arena had a merch bag.
Yeah.
So
I had one. So okay.
Yeah, my wife had one.
Andy, did you get anything?
I didn't. I bought $40 worth of food, but no, that counts as something. Not for the band, but for the concert going experience.
I bought the $35 pair of drumsticks.
That's cool. Are they Kiss? I'm sure there's all kinds of Kiss printing on them.
Yeah. Black with silver stuff on it. Pretty cool.
Eric Singer signature.
Yeah, it says
and
End
stuff.
of the Road on it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And one more thing. Well, because we have other business to attend to on this show, and we're not technically a Kiss podcast anymore. We only call ourselves that to trounce other Kiss podcasts in search engines, but I digress.
Yeah. We are the recognized symbol of excellence in SEO of
Kiss
podcasting.
Anyway, yes. Anywho, back to the set list. And I realize I'm about to just waste my breath here, just like all the people bitching about lip syncing or backing tracks or whatever. Really don't want to talk about that. That's a complete waste of breath, but I will do the same with regard to set list. Man, there's 3 tunes that just bog down the set, in my opinion, and those tunes are 100,000 Years, Cold Gin, and fucking God of Thunder. Get rid of and it's not going to happen, I realize this, but you can't you can't tell me that the energy level and the excitement level wouldn't have been higher if you replace those 3 with Strutter, I Stole Your Love, and Come On and Love Me, or name anything else. I'd even rather hear Crazy, Crazy Nights instead of those 3.
Yeah.
I mean, they're those plodding early 70s heavy rockers, just I don't know. It would have added to it if they swapped those out. And the God of Thunder, sorry.
No.
But the God of Thunder thing, look. Gene breathing fire, cool. Him spitting out blood anymore, it's stupid.
You didn't like it?
and the other thing is, he doesn't go just shooting up to the rafters on a single cable anymore. He stands on a platform, and they raise him up slowly, which is still... what we were talking about.
You need enormous gonads.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be scared to do that. And he's 70, and he's, what is that, 40, 50 feet
it's
up?
up there, man.
Right.
It's up, yeah.
I don't think either is that compelling in favor of putting a higher energy, more arena, sing-along, upbeat tune in the set. That's my only complaint. It's excellent show, money's worth received.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a moment where I kind of felt that, like, I kind of felt almost sympathy for the people I was with. We're like, oh, this is, I could see people are looking a little tired,
They're starting to check their phones.
And it's toward the end of the show, and you hear the beginning when Paul's playing all that arpeggio stuff for beginning of Black Diamond.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, no, this is going to be a while.
That's funny. That
And I have to say, though, it was cool that and I had heard them, this is on that Las Vegas live recording from a few years ago. The end of Black Diamond is pretty awesome because they do that, I don't know if it's got a title, but there's that sort of harmonized like a high register guitar thing that they do, and the drum beat is almost like Am I Evil?
Okay, yeah.
that dun, 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 dun. It's got like that kind of a vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which I only remember before that seeing on that Rio show from 82.
Okay.
82, 83.
Rock and Rio.
Yeah, the huge Rio show. So that's pretty awesome that they have that in there. And I think we might have talked about it, how it's on the Vegas thing, but seeing it live, it was pretty cool that they threw that in there.
That is cool.
So beginning of it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a little while, like this song. But no real complaints though.
Yeah, and when they do the Won't Get Fooled Again nod in the middle of Lick It Up, that's pretty awesome, I think. But yeah, those 3, it just bogged down the momentum. I just the casual fan, the soccer mom bringing the kids. They don't want those plodding stoner anthems from the early 70s.
I can see that.
And I get why there's a drum solo so everybody else can rest up, but those are just completely unnecessary anymore.
I have to say, though, it seemed like obviously they've been doing this for a while, and I'm sure every moment, every note it seemed pre-calculated.
Oh, yeah.
Like everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And there wasn't a lot, like the drum solo, it went on, but not, it wasn't like...
It wasn't extremely
he's
long.
going, like...
No, I mean, as drum solos go, it was well-paced, it was well done, but...
And they even put that... it was at the end of 100,000 Years, right? And they even did the phasing effect, which was cool, like from a live one. So.
And then he went back into the All Right Hammond beat with the cowbell.
Right.
When he kicked back in and the band walked back on stage.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Nice night of entertainment.
Yeah.
I had a great time. Yeah.
And I'm going to add the opening act. I'm a fan
of
the painter guy.
David Garibaldi.
Yeah.
Tell
us about it.
He was
Nick.
great. he's super enthusiastic, and it was really cool because he's doing this stuff. He's got like a few minutes to knock out like a world class looking piece of art, and he did 3 of them. And
that's pretty awesome.
And
he creates portraits of rock stars during his set on the spot.
With he had.
Is it from memory too, or did he have a picture in front of him?
No,
like
there was a blank canvas.
I mean, and the way he does it is
wasn't a paint by
he's
numbers.
He's like doing spots in certain. Yeah. He's not like starting like I'm drawing the face. He's just like spot here, spot over here, whatever, and then he brings it together. So there's like a little bit of actual like a suspense.
Yeah.
Like what is it? What's he doing? Because he did the Angus Young picture first.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had like Thunderstruck playing, and he would stop and go to the mic and get people into the song. Like if there was a part that everybody knew to sing along,
he choreographed his brush strokes to the music.
Yeah, which is like
that was good.
It's funny sounding.
I've seen a few people commenting online, about Kiss stuff, kind of making fun of, and that's an easy thing to do. They have a painter opening for him, and he even acknowledged it during the set. Like I get it, it's a little weird, but the guy was great. Actually, I thought
I enjoyed it.
Other than seeing if it's an opening band that I really don't. Like most opening bands, I'm not really that into.
Yeah,
it just turns out that way. I don't know, but this was way better than something like that. More interesting.
Yeah, it's different. I will say that the facial expression on Tommy and his Kiss portrait looked like somebody cut an egg fart next to him. I found that rather amusing. And the facial expression on Eric was kind of amusing. But, he knocked that out in 10 minutes or so. 10 minutes and change.
Yeah. It was really cool.
Plus, I think they're auctioning them off for local charity.
At least the Kiss one
about
said.
That. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so it was great. I'm a fan. I went home and watched some more of his stuff, and it's
really? Just on YouTube or something?
Yeah.
What else was there?
It was like I saw like a Michael Jackson one, a Statue of Liberty.
So he does this at clubs or something on his own?
That's his thing.
His whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a live performance of
yeah.
painting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and he's got, like music choreographed with it, like Chris said. And yeah.
That's cool.
I'm a fan. So I don't know, to anybody wondering out there, is it really lame that they got this painter to open? No, it's actually not.
And nobody seemed to mind either. The crowd seemed into it.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's not like a scenario we've all seen where an opening band is booed off the stage.
Right.
Or maybe not that extreme, although I have seen it once. It's a band called the Rock City Angels opened for Jimmy Page on his solo tour for the Outrider album. Literally removed from the stage by the crowd response. They left the stage because of the...
Holy cow.
Were they that bad?
They weren't that bad, but
the crowd just hated them.
The crowd hated them, and the singer wasn't having it, and just...
so it was mutual.
Well, no, the singer
point.
was trying to be defiant and soldier through it, but he was being an ass about it, and that's when stuff started raining down on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they left.
Was it the first show of the tour?
I don't think so.
Just an especially upset
city. Detroit rock audience.
Now, did Jimmy Page tour the Death Wish soundtrack a couple years before that?
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's too bad.
The opening act was Charles Bronson doing
executing
portraits of
portraits with a pistol
with blood.
Yeah.
Waving a sock full of quarters around, an interpretive dance. Like those guys do those ribbon dances. He was doing it with a sock full of quarters. Shirt off, the whole bit.
Good.
Could you imagine if that actually happened and there was came out with a Blu-ray of that now, full show?
Incredible.
Good stuff.
Nick, did you go to the merch stand and buy the $35 David Garibaldi paintbrush?
I might have. If they would have had little, just little prints for $20-$25 of
something that he did,
I might have.
They didn't have any merch for him.
No, not that I saw. But the that Kiss picture was pretty cool that he whipped up. It kind of had that look of the comic books, like the real futuristic, weird looking kind of Kiss comic books, but not exactly.
The ones that you had those dolls of
Yeah, like not over the top looking like that, but
What was that called?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. And then there's the video game for Sega Dreamcast.
Well, that was Psycho Circus.
That was Psycho Circus,
Yeah.
but they had that weird look to them, right?
Yeah,
in that game
yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then there was that whole.
Yeah, and it had a little bit of that, like a dark kind of a look, but it was cool. So
Yeah, I agree. Great time. It's
great time, except for the guy who sat behind Andy.
Oh, yeah,
did
that
not
was funny.
necessarily have a great time.
We were talking. My wife, and our daughter were there, and we're talking to this couple, probably in their 50s, is my guess, and they were cool, like nice people, just chatting with us before Kiss started. They're like, "Oh man, we've already spent $100 on booze." I think they were drinking margaritas, and they had like the little Cuervo cups. And during the set,
So
randomly,
that's probably about 3 or 4 margaritas.
They had 2 margaritas each.
It's probably not
Bottle
a
of
stretch.
water, $5.
What was $5? What was a margarita? You think like $14 or something?
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
probably they were probably up around 3 each.
3 to 4 is where they were at
Yeah.
that point. But anyway, they kept drinking because at one point we were in the first row. Like if it was a hockey game, we'd be on the glass. So we were on the first elevated row, and there was a guardrail in front of us. These people right behind us. And, randomly during a song in the middle of the set, the guy falls, rams into my wife, and then lands on the guardrail, like armpit and neck on the guardrail.
I mean, that's like broken clavicle.
And then he's completely motionless for like 5 seconds. And in that time, all the thoughts are rushing through my head. Like, did he just have a heart attack? Did he break his neck or
Do
something?
I need to do something?
Yeah, like, is he seriously injured? Should I, grab him, flag down security? And then he just gets up and goes back, and,
Like, I'm good.
nothing happened. Yeah,
Fist pumping.
totally fine. Yeah. And then later, his wife dumped the majority of a margarita on the back of my wife's head.
Oh,
So
God.
all over her clothes and coat on the chair,
Jesus.
and
Gosh.
daughter's coat smells like
gave her
alcohol.
about a $12 treatment. Right
Yeah.
there.
That's
no
happened to my wife at a Def Leppard Journey show. Same deal. Whole complete drink down her back.
That's the worst.
I think,
had a
I'm
guy
pretty sure it was that.
I had a guy splatter his blood on me at a show. one
That's
time.
some
He had a bloody
serious-
nose,
that's
and
not
then he
good.
with his hand kind of checked
Yeah.
it, had it all over his hand.
What show was
And
that?
this was at Lollapalooza I went to
Oh.
years ago.
The 96 one?
Yeah, and he had it all over his hand, and I'm sitting there in slow motion. I'm thinking he's not going to start like shaking his hand like a dog drying off his. Yeah, he's gonna. He's splattering his blood on everybody around. It's like
There's that much? Did he get a broken nose or something?
it might have been
So his hand was like
not covered, but he had
enough to where it would
but-
splatter when he
yeah,
waved
yeah,
it.
yeah. He
Ugh.
was waving it around, and I'm like,
You should have re-broken his nose.
Yeah, hit him in the nose. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of blood, that's a nice little segue. There's the artist I am picking has a connection to that to some
blood.
degree, a little bit.
Interesting.
Just thought of that when Nick mentioned it.
No,
So
I won't say it, but I've got 2 in mind immediately. So I won't say it though, because what if I get it right? That would.
that'd
Yeah.
be 2
That
in a
would
row
ruin
that
it.
the Jones
But
brothers
I'm pretty
got
sure
on.
I got the artist down.
Okay. Do you want to write it down?
I
Text it to me. All right. So, Chris.
So this is my pick from the listener submission list.
Yes.
I will say that, this is another one that I was totally stoked to see on there. And it is the only song by this artist currently on the list.
Oh, interesting.
Soon to be off the list. So, and it was submitted by someone simply Jeff. No last name, no
social media
none of that, just
connections.
song name, artist name, his name, first name only. That was it.
simply.
But whoever this individual,
It's like
Yeah.
the peanut butter with the oil at the top. Simply Jeff.
yes,
Just changed one vowel.
yeah. So
Did he leave any comments about it or not
nothing.
even comment?
That
No?
was it.
Oh, there's something
In
else.
fact, yeah, that was it.
Quick interjection here. Even though I appreciate it and it is funny when I see it, if you submit a song to the list and use one of our names as the submission person, I don't think we can use that.
Yeah,
I think that's a disqualification.
Maybe.
Even though people are trying to be funny, I think it's like, oh, this is it's weird. This is submitted by Chris L.
Well, we
but
don't want
not.
to blur the lines between our independent pick weeks.
Right. But I'm saying it's not.
Right.
It's just people doing it.
Well, depends on the song.
Like it could be
Yeah.
like Chris L. and it's something from ELO or something, where it's like a shot at you. But
well, I'm
just put your
certainly
real
not going to pick that. You guys might.
Right.
Just for the entertainment value.
Put your real name,
Well,
please.
yeah.
I think. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I would say it probably makes us less inclined to pick it.
Yeah.
So
All right.
if you want to waste your energy that way, go ahead.
All right. So back on track. Any thoughts on this? Or are you ready to roll it?
This is I'll get into it as we move along through it, but
Right.
It was, again, just to reiterate, hugely pleased to see this one on here. So
See, that's what I'm going for too at this point.
Hugely pleased.
Yeah, I mean that's from what I've picked so far. That's what it's been.
Let me jot that down for a song title. That's hugely
That's a
pleased.
Scorpion song.
So these two, the one I picked before, the Chili Pepper song, and this one were the two that leaped off the page at me. For moving forward, I'm gonna have to take a closer look. I'm sure there's other stuff on there that will be pleasing to me, but these two especially were must picks out of the gate.
All right. Well, then, it's time to turn the microphone over to Chris Jericho.
All right, Hamel. This one's called
Loose,
Off of
Funhouse,
by the band.
The Stooges.
Ow!
Nick did get the artist correct in his text that he sent
Thank
me.
you, thank you.
Blood was enough.
Yeah.
Blood spurting everywhere. That's Iggy Pop's.
But did you see this one on the list?
I think I did see it. I didn't know what song it would have been, but I was guessing it was something to do with Iggy Pop.
But yeah, there's that famous picture of
Yeah.
him. You know, he cut up his chest a little bit and
I'm
bled all over the audience.
I'm going to admit I'm largely unfamiliar with the Stooges' work, and most of it, I know some. You know, I seek into or search industry.
Yeah, there's that. I
You
Want to
know.
Be Your Dog
Yeah.
is typically a Stooges song. A lot of people know. Andy, what's your level of familiarity here?
Probably about the same as Nick. Mildly familiar.
Okay.
It's on the list of bands I'd like to spend more time listening to,
Yeah.
and I just haven't found the time.
Well, let me say this. This would be my proverbial desert island disc. If I could only have one album for the
Funhouse?
rest of my life, this is it.
Wow.
I too was somewhat had a cursory knowledge of the Stooges. I'll give a little backstory of how I came to love this album. So the band I was in college, Original New Originals,
ONO.
taken from a Spinal Tap piece of dialogue. Those of you familiar with the movie will get it. That was the band that, I received the we're getting the band back together phone call after college and moved to Chicago to reform the band. Configured slightly differently. The drummer became the rhythm guitarist, and we found a couple local guys to drum. First guy, incredibly talented guy, Jose Medelis was his name.
Okay.
Is his name. Went on to much bigger and better things. Was the drummer for the Breeders for
Okay.
quite a
Cool.
few years, and now owns a place called Revival Drum Shop in Portland, Oregon. So you drummers should follow his social media if you like drum porn and celebrity visits and all that stuff.
Cool.
Great guy, incredible drummer. But our singer was such an asshole that he quit the band, could not deal with him anymore.
Jeez.
None of us could blame him for that.
You all agreed.
Yeah, we all knew it, but it was kind of one of those things where this guy he's such a prick, but there's some potential here that, he could he could become something.
He could become something, and then usually that being a prick thing goes away with success and money, right?
Right, and I'm not comparing his style in any way to the person I'm about to mention, and that'll become clear in a couple minutes, but it's like Sebastian Bach, you know. The guys in Skid Row will not deal with him ever again any price
Isn't that
tag.
Amazing?
He's that much of an asshole. And watching that super group show that was on a few years ago, and you could totally get it. It's like I couldn't be in the same room with this guy.
Savage animal
For 20 minutes at the most, you know. How am I going to, be on tour with this guy?
Isn't that amazing though? Like Skid Row, they've been out there,
still
touring
at it.
and still at it. But like in this age of let's go for the cash and get the super lineup back together, that they're they're still not willing to do it.
Yeah, I was
that really says a lot.
For a long time, I was under the impression that it was coming from only him.
Oh no!
But
no, he is so down for it. From what I'm reading, yeah,
he would do it. They will not. But
it's kind of funny.
So anyway, we got this new guy, a replacement drummer, pretty good drummer. But unfortunately, was a raving cokehead and fueled that in the singer as well, and just things spun apart quickly after that, to the point where we knew we were breaking up. We had a couple gigs scheduled down in Springfield, Illinois, with another friend's band who were in Chicago, but were originally from that area. Went down there, played the gigs. The second one, the last one, as I recall, we kicked ass in that set. And some guy came up to me after the set and said, "You guys are awesome. You are like the second coming of Funhouse era Stooges."
Wow.
Now, I had known of the Stooges, but I did not know of this album. But I knew that was a pretty high compliment, and I felt good about the set we had just played. To the point where I was like, maybe we should reconsider this breakup thing.
Yeah.
And then I went to take a leak, and these two dickheads are in the bathroom honking up coke off the toilet tank, and I was like, I think we'll stick with that decision and end this. But that comment prompted me to acquire this album and fell in love with it immediately.
Cool.
So,
did that band did you stay with any members when you formed the next band, or was it just you and the next band?
I answered an ad that the Mean Reds placed, and I joined
so
them.
you didn't form it. You joined them. Okay, gotcha. All right. So this is Loose, track 2 of 7.
Yeah.
Short, huh? 7?
Well, there's a couple longer cuts on here, but this is, I think, the shortest song on the album, right?
Yes, it is. 3 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay. So we can charge through it pretty quick. I'd like to see if we can find I can't remember what the good lyrics site
Genius
was.
Lyrics,
but I did a cursory search of the lyrics, and they seemed horribly wrong to me what I was coming up with.
I think it's like Genius Lyrics is what people
so
were
let's see if we can
us.
find that, and then I will also say that this song is probably not my favorite on the album, but it contains approximately 10 to 15 seconds of my very favorite recorded music of all time.
Okay.
So, hope other people enjoy it as much as I do.
Plus,
we're going to find out.
Plus, I'll get to at some point bring up a story that our friend Phil told us years ago.
Okay.
Bad poor.
Regarding Iggy Pop.
Oh, well, that's good.
Some a little
weird stories from
secondhand account of backstage antics.
Yeah, weird stories from our ridiculous associates are often entertaining.
Yeah.
So
exclusive scoop coming at you.
It is exclusive.
All right.
Look out.
So,
you stopped it right when the explosion of vocals introduces the full band, but that's all right.
I had a little bit of a Who kind of a feeling, just with the way that the drums were intermittently,
I never made that connection before,
steam.
but absolutely.
And plus, we just saw Kiss do that during "Look It Up," the "Won't Get Fooled Again" thing. So it's fresh on my mind.
We made a Who comparison in the Cheap Trick
episode.
Yeah, I never really heard that before, but that's totally true. And the Who, this was 69 recorded and came out in 70, so the Who was definitely reaching their apex. So I wonder if there was much of that influence going on directly, because I know the Stooges were from that Detroit scene. MC5 kind of prided themselves on being more subversive, although the Who were pretty subversive with the smashing of the instruments and the sheer volume of their shows and a lot of aggression going on.
And the weird topics, subject matter in the song.
So I think I think a band like the Stooges could gravitate toward the Who more so than the Beatles or the Stones during that time. I think there was a little more of that real angst and aggression in Who music. But if you could back it up a second or two, we talk a lot about how much we like the vocalist to introduce guitar solos. Well, here's an example of him introducing just the full band kicking into the song. I'd like to say that, again, given the time frame of this album, the drums sound great.
They do. They're really
the snare drum sounds fucking awesome on this album.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound dated at all, or a lot of the drummers from that era were jazz influenced. I'm pretty sure Mr. Scott Asheton probably was as well, but brought a little more angst and aggression to it. But definitely a great sounding drum recording here.
Now that's pretty much what Iggy and the Stooges were known for, is like a sort of a brutal, aggressive sound, right? I mean, because I know Search and Destroy, and that's pretty. Like that's one of those where on the whole mix, the whole production is just kind of centered around, like, we want it to be almost violent sounding.
Yeah, and as we'll get to in a little later on, but they were featured in the early metal episode of Sam Dunn's Evolution of Metal documentary series, which I thought was cool.
Yeah,
I never really connected them to metal, but I liked how he made that connection in that episode. And as you guys fans more of punk rock than me, have got to be somewhat aware of the influence of these guys on some of your favorite bands.
Absolutely.
I mean, Iggy Pop is an icon to most bands of the punk genre, or more of hardcore alternative stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's an overall fuzzy kind of noise rock sound.
Yeah, which that's definitely indicative of the day. You know, the guitars kind of sound of that era, but the drums really sound great and don't strike me as sounding dated in any way. And that's true of across this entire album. I think this is the best produced of their first 3 studio albums.
Isn't it incredible how healthy Iggy Pop is to this day? It's weird.
Well, he's never added any body fat at all.
I know.
Whatsoever.
You'd think that just a guy who lived like that, and this is old. You said this is recorded in 69, released in 70.
It's 50 years ago.
It's a Maniac 50 years ago. He's like totally clear-headed and fine right now.
Yeah, I don't know how reputed he was to be a drug user or anything. I'm not saying I'm saying I don't know one way or the other. I'm not saying he was straight edge, nor am I saying that he was known for being a junkie. Maybe somewhere in the middle, but like you said, he's never added an ounce of body fat the entire length of his life. In fact, but now that he's in his 70s. He's got all those weird veins all over him and stuff.
Veins and wrinkles.
Yeah. But, certainly physically is still in pretty good shape.
Well, I see you wanted me to get to the Phil story. So,
well, here it is.
Right,
so it's just a quick thing. Phil, our friend Phil, the guy to know in Hammond, is what he's billed as amongst certain circles.
I didn't realize that. But
Yeah, I was told there was a period of time. There was an era.
The Phil era?
When the Phil thing was going on.
Okay.
And he was telling me how back in the early 80s, I think it was, around Phil's sister was in the band Skafish.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did not know that.
I think she was the bass player for a little while. And they played with all these bands back then. They opened for the Police, and they were on that the somewhat famous, infamous Erg, A Music War video compilation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Iggy and the Stooges, I think they might have been. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like there's a Police song on there, and there's all these other, sort of like new wavy, punky kind of bands from that era, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And they were part of that, and the story goes that they were on tour with Iggy Pop, and he was so out of his mind on some sort of drug, substance, or whatever, that he was very aggressively chasing Phil's sister around backstage. And to the point where, like, the morning after, someone told him about it, and he like sought her out and apologized profusely.
Wow.
This is the story that I'm getting like third hand. So
yeah,
and I'd never heard. He always Iggy Pop's one of those guys where it's like a Frank Zappa or an Alice Cooper, where you figure they're probably on every drug imaginable because there's such weirdness coming.
Yeah.
And I know Frank Zappa didn't do it. Alice Cooper had just drinking problem,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iggy Pop's one of those guys where you're not sure. Is he just so crazy without the stuff? I don't know anything more than that. Just I'd heard that story that he was out of his mind on something. At that point.
Yeah, a bit. I'd like Andy to play later on as we get toward the end of the song. It is consistent with that story. So we'll see. But like I said, I don't know one way or the other. But I don't know. I think that it's pretty hard to pull this level of whatever it is they do out of yourself without some substances being involved, but I could be wrong about that.
I took a ride with the pretty music. I went down, baby, you can tell.
All right, what are the lyrics saying here?
It says, I took a record of pretty music. I went down, and baby, you can tell. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I never really could make out what he was saying.
It's hard to tell what he's. Yeah. It's not very intelligible.
Yeah, I always thought it was like I took a ride or I took a round or something, but I don't know if I hear record in there. But the lyrics aren't really. There's no cohesion there.
Yeah,
it's just kind of curious what they might have said.
I took a ride with the pretty music. Now move to you straight from hell.
What is he saying there?
He said the same thing. I took a record of pretty music. Now I'm putting it to you straight from hell.
Yeah, I can hear that too. I like that lyric. That one works for me.
It's now I don't know a lot of MC5, but to me it totally sounds like what I've heard of MC5 as far as the overall sound.
Yeah, and it's definitely, 4 on the floor, full tilt rocker. There's a lot of variety on this album. This is definitely, this is one of the 2 songs on here that's really fast-paced, up-tempo, full-on rocker.
Sticking deep inside. I'm sticking deep inside. 'cause I'm loose.
Well,
I understand that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
well,
Stick it deep inside.
Yeah. Because I'm loose.
it's either it's either sex or drugs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
See, for a while, though, when I first heard it, I initially heard it as I'm stupid deep inside. But then the first time he said it, I totally heard stupid. Then the second one, you can hear it a little more clearly. So then it becomes clear, but occasionally I'll drift over to the stupid side when I listen to this.
Because I'm loose.
Yeah.
Like what? Morally?
Well, that's one
Maybe
entry.
How
on
else
there.
is he loose?
I don't know.
He's feeling
Loose with his money.
Yeah.
Could be.
Who knows?
Had a couple drinks. He's feeling loose. I don't know.
I always thought you get tight when you drink. Isn't that what they say? It's getting tight.
I never heard that before.
No?
Maybe.
That's
It's an old school term
Is
for
it
it. Yes.
getting tight?
yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Tying one on, getting tight. I don't know.
Never heard of that.
That's just a term I've heard before. So it's not sure what he's talking about exactly, but
I just thought it was like relaxed, like
It could
loose,
be.
but I don't know. Getting tight.
he's
Yeah.
he's
I never-
relaxed yet
yeah.
he's sticking something deep inside
Yeah.
something.
It's just really not something you do when
Yeah.
you're relaxed. So.
Well, it might be the slow, languid strokes we talk about of Andy's lovemaking technique.
Well, the guy who
on
died
the French Riviera.
the guy who died on the guardrail yesterday at the
Oh, yeah.
concert. Would you say he looked loose or tight?
He was tight.
Okay,
His body was stiff.
getting gray
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
were watching him.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that the term of the day was loose, and he's like, "What's the opposite of loose?" Or what's the opposite? The term was tight. What's the opposite of tight? Loose. Let's do that.
Could be.
Could be it.
So I like that there's one guitarist credited in the Stooges, so he probably overdubbed this, Ron Asheton. But I think you can hear it more toward the left, where he's just banging out those fuzzed out chords, and then on the right he's doing that single line, kind of lead line.
That's an interesting. What song was I just listening to that had something like that, where it was like during the lead vocal, there's an accompanying, almost lead guitar thing happening at the same time like that. I think it was a Velvet Revolver song.
Okay.
Was it She Makes Quick Machines?
Yeah.
Yeah. During like the verse, there's this lead guitar thing, and it's a little bit like hearing it in the headphones. It's a little strange at first, just that there's something so prominent,
Yeah.
kind of going up against the lead vocal.
Yeah. That's cool.
But
too.
yeah, pretty cool idea.
See, now he's dancing, apparently.
He's feeling it. He's feeling something.
That's typically something you don't do after sticking it deep inside. It takes a while to gather yourself.
You'd be dancing first.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you dance, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
right,
It's the
yeah.
mating ritual. That's simply what it is. Dancing is a precursor to fucking. Everybody, if you don't know that, you should know that. It's an animalistic mating ritual.
It
That's what
absolutely.
it is.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah. So, but the dancing after the sticking seems, again, tight versus loose.
He's
Coming
on
at
here?
you and he's throwing everything at you and throwing the world upside down as you know it.
We're experiencing time travel through these lyrics.
Which is what good punk rock is supposed to do, am I correct?
Yeah, I would
Make
say
you
so.
rethink conventional wisdom and accepted norms of society.
It's either that or it's something so simplistic and dumb that you think it's brilliant after a while.
Exactly. And the fact that we're debating it makes it brilliant, in my opinion. It's it makes you think, which you wouldn't necessarily expect from the Stooges, but So the lead line is he's starting to morph into playing like actual more solos versus the first time through he kept that same line going throughout. So he's taking it off in a different direction.
And the now this is you said 69.
Recorded in 69.
Wow.
Released in 70, I
because
believe.
the rhythm of what he's playing is kind of Smoke on the Watery, even though that came later, right? That was what's...
That's 72,
72,
I think.
Yeah, so
Wow.
never mind that. But
Deep Purple was active, though. In fact,
Yeah.
those early Deep Purple albums with your boy Rod Evans, who went on to Captain Beyond, sounded more similar to this than obviously what Deep Purple became. But, you know, that kind of fuzzy guitar, and it's very late 60s sounding. Not as brutal as like a Blue Cheer or like the MC5, or a little more primal, not much, but you know, again, one of the things I like most about this album is just it's well produced, and there's a deluxe version I have where there's a lot of alternate takes, and you can understand why those other ones weren't the ones they used for the album, because this one is clearly the best of the lot. Okay, what's he saying there?
He said, "I feel fine to be dancing, baby. I feel fine. I'm a shaken leaf. I feel fine to be dancing, baby, because it's love. Yeah, I do believe."
I love that. I love the... it's clear that it's not love, but still the fact that people say it anyway, it's like, no, this is not love. But you know, it goes back to episode 1, Gene Simmons. You know, what does love actually mean when he uses the word?
Well, and it's also, you know, considering the source, you get the impression that he's like trying to come up with things the woman will want to hear at this point. You know?
Right.
Just playing that game.
He's a shaken leaf.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
good.
A shaken leaf.
I like that.
I'm sticking deep inside. I'm sticking deep inside. 'Cause I'm loose.
All right, so again, a vocal outburst kicks in the middle section. You know, here we are going into the guitar solo, but that sort of double time beat where he was just hammering away on the kit before they got into the drum solo or the guitar solo coming on right here. Fucking great. This whole thing is like, I'll make the connection to Plastercaster from Kiss, in so much as it's gaining intensity very gradually and slowly, but noticeably as it goes along. And I love that. It keeps me engaged. Okay, I'm going to stop it here because as we're listening to it in fragments, I'm not exactly sure where it starts, but the end of this guitar solo is what I was referring to earlier.
Okay.
Some 10-ish seconds of my absolute favorite recorded music in history.
Okay.
Incredible shit. Listen to that. That is, look, okay. I get why you wouldn't be a fan of the Yngwies of the world, the Vais of the world, just that complete technical command of the instrument.
Yeah.
That is fucking caveman guitar playing. Comes from a somewhere inside of that individual that is rooted way back in prehistoric man. Just the screaming nature of those 4 notes he plays toward the end just repeatedly. It's actually 1 note that he plays like 8 times repeatedly. And then Iggy closes it out with the vocal explosion. Fucking sublime in my world.
What's this guitar player's name?
Ron Asheton. His brother is on the drums. He's no longer with us. Passed away somewhat recently. Maybe.
Drummer did?
No, the guitarist.
Oh, the guitarist did. Okay.
Drummer might be dead too. I'm not sure. But
now, as far as do you know, as far as the writing arrangement within the band, was there someone who was a dominant writer? Did Iggy do all the lyrics? I don't know. It's not anything I've ever looked into.
Not super
I'm assuming
familiar.
that he's kind of one of those guys who is his own lyricist, but
probably.
You'd think so, but yeah, I don't know. Let's continue. We could look it up.
Down there, Iggy's kicking up the
he is.
intensity
Yeah,
a little bit.
at first he was kind of doing that almost at least to my ears, it's a little bit Bowie-esque, where he's kind of
crooning a little
speaking
bit.
it. Yeah, he's more, kind of just... I don't know that I'd call it singing necessarily at the beginning, what he was doing, but now, he's getting a little bit more... He's putting some more behind it.
And we all know he collaborated with Bowie pretty frequently.
Yeah. Yep.
All tracks written by the Stooges, credited to the entire band, which I always appreciated. I'm sure Iggy wrote the majority of the lyrics, but you never really know.
A little Danzig moment almost there.
See, and
pre-Danzig, yeah.
But yeah.
I would be shocked if Danzig and that ilk weren't... I would be shocked if anybody in the punk rock realm doesn't have some appreciation for early Stooges, Iggy. I mean, he pretty much embodies what those guys were going for, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, again, this is late 60s. There weren't any characters like him around.
No, that's true.
It's a true original.
Yeah, and the fact that his name is Iggy Pop is pretty, that's like a...
it's like tongue-in-cheek.
It's like a Gary Glitter kind of a name. Or what was... I forgot what Freddie Mercury's equivalent was, but... Larry something.
He had one?
Yeah, he had one too. I forgot what it was, but...
did he use it before Queen, or you just like...
I don't know.
Referenced himself as that sometimes?
I don't know. I'd heard about that he had a sort of an alias along those lines, but I don't know.
It's funny.
When he applied it or whatever, but it's... I'm trying to think of anybody... Well, probably like in the 50s, and then like maybe British explosion in the 60s. There were probably people who had these sort of really extremely gimmicky names that they took on, almost like a wrestler would do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I just looked him up on Wikipedia. His birth name is James Newell Osterberg Jr.
There you go.
That's pretty punk.
According to Iggy Pop, he was designated the godfather of punk. So there you have it.
I believe it. I mean, there's I don't know who the father of punk or the grandfather is, but the godfather, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, you guys know that I'm not super into punk per se, but like I said, this is if I could only have one album for the duration, this would be it.
Wow, that's saying a lot. I'm going to have to listen to the whole album tomorrow.
There's a lot of variety on there. And there's plenty of saxophone. That's another
That's right,
X factor for me, as everybody knows.
Larry Lyrics. Lyrics
was that like his initial stage
It was
name,
before. It was, yeah, he would record stuff under that name before Queen got going.
Was it supposed to be like lyrics, but spelled
I don't
weird?
know if that's like a latex kind of a thing. I don't know. I have no.
Larry Latex is an awesome name. It's a great name.
Well, I don't know. I remember reading something about it before. I don't want to spend too much time on it trying to research it right now. But yeah, I'd gotten the impression before that it was almost a Gary Glitter-ish kind of a thing.
Sure.
Which would make sense with, this. I mean, even Iggy Pop was pretty flamboyant. I remember seeing it. Again, Phil, our friend Phil, he gave me a DVD to watch years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say this was maybe like early 80s Iggy Pop, where he had the leather, almost like a Rob Halford-ish, like police hat, kind of like really leather-ish kind of thing going on, which he's known mostly just for having no shirt on and, being ripped and crazy. But he had that kind of glammy sort of
which kind of I think that I make a connection to that in Lou Reed, like the back cover of Transformer album, where you got a guy with the police hat, the gay iconographic apparel going on. There's a lot of that whole inner circle had a lot of they just approached life differently.
And it's interesting, like that. I guess that's maybe part of the whole punk thing. I don't know, but you've got sort of like a resistant kind of an attitude of, whatever is popular at the time.
Yeah.
And yet, and I granted, the whole punk thing hadn't, I don't think, come to fruition, the whole scene.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that his last name is Pop.
Right.
Which I always thought was interesting when used in like a punk sort of, when there's a correlation between Iggy Pop and punk, that is just that's that's the name of it. But maybe that's it's an exploitation of it, or
I'm
it's
assuming,
a perversion of it.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of the punk stuff seems to be, a perversion of something.
Makes sense. Keeps it interesting. I don't know.
A mocking, perhaps.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's like a bastardization or whatever. Where you're intentionally trying to get people worked up, and it's either yes because I agree with you and that's cool, or no, this is shit. Like you want one reaction or the other.
Yeah,
you either want to offend or you want people like to completely align with you because they feel the same way.
But then it's like another. It's on a different level when you're kind of emulating the stuff that you're you're not just saying I'm the complete opposite. You're saying I'm gonna be just a like you said, a bastardized version,
or just as everybody knows that there's an intent to be ironic, and this would probably fall into that category.
I took a ride with a bit of music. And now fuck through your straight from hell. And I'll stick it deep inside.
Yeah, I mean, he goes back to that delivery, but there's more aggression there than was delivered. It's like it's the most provocative lyric, but he's through the whole song he delivers it in such a cheeky way.
The way he said, and I'll stick it right there, immediately Clarence Carter's stroking came to mind. I'll be stroking.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of delivery.
It is
hilarious.
And I'll stick it.
There it is.
Good ending, that's for sure.
Yeah. You know what? I might have to change my attitude about this not being my favorite song on the album, which I again, it's one of those things. I love every song, There's got to be a song that you like the least if you were to rank them.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be toward the bottom, but it wouldn't be at the absolute top, but it might take that slot over. It's just a balls-out rocker, and like I said, the end of that guitar solo is some of the most primal guitar playing you will ever hear, and it's just one of those things where the fact that they captured that on tape is just it's a gift, in my opinion. It's just so awesome.
What would be your favorite song from this, if it's not this one?
Probably the title cut, because it's got a great groove to it. There's some sax in it, and they kind of stretch it out a little bit. You know, two of the songs I know are pretty lengthy, but this would rank right up there, as well as the opener, Down on the Street.
Have you guys ever had an encounter like kind of how Chris was saying before, where someone gives you a sort of a compliment and compares, like if your band played, and say, you guys kind of remind me of this, and you don't know it?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that? One came to mind. I remember playing, and someone said, "Yeah, I like the songs. They're kind of like XTC."
What band was that? Not XTC, but which?
That was the kind of acoustic-ish, electric, but clean sounding kind of a stuff I was doing with Tom and our friend Jared at the Hammond Public Library when we play their open mics.
Okay.
Somebody came up to us and said, "Yeah, it's kind of like XTC." And then I went and looked up XTC.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't make the connection, but it was just interesting. It's something that I was completely unfamiliar with.
Well, it's kind of like my buddy Dave Pierce. He owns a music store out in Olney, Maryland, Baltimore area. He's also a rock DJ out there. He's the guy who compared our last original song, Who's Coming With Me, to Urge Overkill. And I didn't hear that at all. I still don't, but I'll take it, because I think it's a pretty high compliment. Especially coming from him, because I know how much he loves Urge Overkill. Oh. So,
I mean, it's great to get any sort of compliment, but then it's more interesting when someone says it reminds me of this, and you don't even know it. You can't even make the connection when you hear it, really.
But yeah, I mean that I don't know if when you heard XTC, you were like, "Oh, I know a lot of people love them. It must be a good compliment." When I heard this guy compare us to the Stooges, I knew that was a good thing. And I didn't know how good it was until I finally acquired and absorbed this album. But
I know when me and Nick were in our band, some guy came up to me after a show and he's like, "Oh, that was awesome." He was like an older dude at the time, probably not much older than us now, but at the time, 15 years ago, he seemed like an older dude. He's like, "That reminded me of the Dead Milkmen when I was younger." And I was like, I remember that. I know Punk Rock Girl, and that was it. But he was like, "Oh man, that was great. You don't hear bands like that." I'm like, "I think we're just not that good." They probably weren't either. That's what you're hearing. Lack of good. No, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's.
But then I went back and listened to some other stuff. I'm like, I could see, because there's like some humor in it, and like I see, it wasn't all. We talked about this last week, but I don't think it was on the show, and I'll spare some details. But we were talking about when certain people, when it's crystal clear who they're going for when they're creating music, it's like, this is my band or this is my guy, and I'm going to do my best to create stuff that sounds as much like that as I can. And then if someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, that's cool, that's like this," you're like, "Yeah, I know, because that's what I was trying to rip off, and that's all I was listening to." But it's different when you didn't, the influence isn't even there.
It comes
so
out of left field.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more interesting.
So before we get into the voting, I just asked Andy to pull up a clip from
his pants. Oh,
well, that too. But
I'm surprised you asked him to pull him up.
A clip
first
from
time in 301 episodes.
Well,
weird. I must be losing.
Turning a new corner in the next 300.
It was
episodes.
a long night. You're not.
Not
you're looking a little loose, if you will.
But that Metal Evolution series by Sam Dunn, the guy who runs Banger Films, who did Flight 666 and all that stuff. He's kind of. I haven't seen anything from him recently, but he was pretty entrenched with these guys for a long time. This Metal Evolution series is fucking great. Well done. We talked about a little bit in the power metal episode for the Sabotage thing.
Yeah.
So this was from the early metal, like a precursor to what people know as heavy metal now, and they touched on the Detroit scene, MC5, Stooges. And I was hoping this would be on YouTube, because I actually have this quote in my phone and my notes, because the first time I heard this, I had to stop it and listen to it like 10 times. It is so fucking... let me just say this. We talk about... we referred to it as a headgasm, right? When you hear a piece of music and it gives you the chills, goosebumps. This comment from him does the exact same thing to me. I don't know what it says about me or whatever, but when I heard this the first time I saw this episode, it fucking knocked me on my ass, and I was just like, this guy is a god, and I pulled out my phone and I copied it down. I was going to recite it, but then I was like, maybe it's on YouTube, and it was. It's much better when you hear it from Iggy, so let it go.
When we were forming our group, the Stooges, before we were ever on stage, we'd all liked heavier rock. It just made me feel like it had an inner, unstated message to assert myself in a primal way, to take the sex when I wanted it, to take money when I wanted it, to be somebody, not to have a job, to be somebody.
That's it. That okay, there's so much you could talk about, but that last bit, to be somebody, to not have a job, to be somebody, is so fucking great, man.
Yeah.
We all had that attitude when I moved to Chicago, and it's like there's such a fine line there, because if you don't become a success or an icon like Iggy, you're just a lowlife. You're a scumbag when you have that approach to life. But we had it, you know. We were just we felt we were outlaws. We felt we didn't want to have regular jobs. We worked in restaurants or wherever we could work to keep a roof over our head. But, you know, we were fully intent on becoming a success with music, and our attitude was that we were going to be outlaws. You know? And when you don't become famous with that, you're just an idiot, a lowlife, a scumbag. But when you ascend to that level, you can talk like that and get respect for it. Now nowadays, with the toxic masculinity, when somebody starts talking about take the sex when I wanted it, okay. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's kind of consistent with the story you got from Phil, which, you know, whatever. Look, let's make something clear. It's never been acceptable to commit crimes against people, okay? That's not... If you take that at face value, what he said, sure, you know, it's not a way to conduct yourself in a civilized society. But if you just look up... If you consider what that quote is metaphorically, how fucking incredible is that? Just, you know, to assert myself in a primal way. When he says that and it morphs into the second half, was my attitude is like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking march into wherever I am, and I'm gonna make it clear that I want to fuck somebody tonight. Not forcibly, not illegally, but I'm going to put out that aura that I'm here to have sex with someone. Let's make it you or whatever. I don't know, but
I also took it as that the way he behaves makes it so that everyone wants to have sex with him, and he'll take what he wants if he wants,
because it's constantly on the table.
But if only, like, he might just walk away and not pay any attention to you if he doesn't feel like it, or he'll take what he wants. But it's always there because of the way he's asserted himself. And now the world reacts to him.
And it's an expression of confidence. You know, to assert myself in a primal way.
I'm going to do that at work tomorrow.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like...
Take my shirt off.
But there's a fine line, obviously, and again, it's never been, nor will it ever be acceptable to commit crimes against somebody, especially sex crimes. But just I encourage you to just listen to that and just try and consider it metaphorically. It is so fucking awesome. And the last part is my favorite. To be somebody, to not have a job, to be somebody. How he just felt the need to reiterate that. Oh, yeah. I love it.
So Andy's going to assert his lunch order in a primal way.
Exactly. It's like that guy.
I took the soup when I wanted it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I took the extra ketchup packets when I wanted them.
Yeah.
Assert myself in a primal way. And that's also, I make that connection to the end of the guitar solo. Just fucking caveman primal behavior. I love it. It just, the first time I heard that, it was so audacious that I had to listen to it again and again, and I was like, this guy is a fucking god amongst men.
It reminds me of a Kiss song.
Which one?
Back to the Stone Age.
Yeah. Lyrically, too?
Yeah. I always got that, that feel that's what's going on in that.
I might have to revisit that one, too. I love that fucking, just that attitude.
That, to me, is the same philosophy that I get from that Kiss song.
Yeah, so, anyway, that's... I was so stoked to see something from Funhouse on the list, and as of now, it's the only one from that album or the Stooges, but whoever you are, Jeff, I want to say thank you, genuinely thank you for sending that along.
Thanks, Organic Jeff. Or whatever it
Simply
was.
Jeff.
Oh, that's right.
Organic Jeff, too.
Same thing. It's like, that's what simply means.
It's that whole sizzle word conversation.
Yep.
In fact, Arturo and I have a whole page dedicated to that on
Tumblr.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'll have to get
the
that.
word simply.
Yeah, where we've seen it. And it's like we can't keep up with it. We've stopped updating it because if we put out every example we see, we wouldn't have time for anything else. It's everywhere.
It's a full-time job.
But the best one was the one coming home from Detroit once. I went by a hairdressing salon, and this normally we find stuff in ads and stuff, and we just copy the image. But I took this one myself. It was a hair salon, and it was called Simply Weaves. And I had to pull a car over and get out in not the greatest neighborhood, but I had to get a picture of that. It's fucking hilarious.
I thought you were going to say you went past a Asian spa. Simply table showers. Didn't you say there's that stretch from Detroit back here that's where there's several billboards for those spas?
Yeah, there's at least 10 of them.
Right, yeah.
None of them has gone down the Simply route.
Yeah, not yet.
Simply Release. Good,
if it's a place that gets rated regularly, you might as well.
Yeah, why not?
Go for it. Yeah. Okay, should we vote?
Yeah.
I mean, I've just put me down for what is it we do? I don't even remember.
Yeah, no, it's been like 10 days. Sweet Surrender.
Yeah, big time.
It's Sweet Surrender. Hell yes.
The sweetest surrender for me, especially when you take into account the last portion of that solo and then Iggy's comment and the Metal Evolution stuff. It just all ties together. It's just musical savagery, and I love it.
Nick?
I'm going to give it a sweet surrender as well.
It's Sweet Surrender. Hell yes.
I love how that's just kind of pops up at the end. That's great. I enjoy the overall sound of this. Like, it's one of those things where it creates a mood. All the components, all the elements kind of sum up to a certain sort of a vibe, and very successful in doing so. I typically, like, stuff that I really love, typically it's due to, like, vocal melody. And there's some there. I mean, he's doing the whole punk thing where it's not really the crucial element of what he's doing, but there is some there, and there's some great lyrics. I love the shaking. What is it? I'm a leaf shaking.
I'm a shaken
leaf. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I enjoy that kind of thing, and it's just a nasty sounding kind of thing, and I don't keep up that well with all the different genres because there's 100 zillion of them now that are out there, but this is basically, you would say this is prototypical for like noise rock, right?
Yeah. And there's one cut on here, L.A. Blues, that is absolutely the template for it,
which I enjoy. I'm not. If any listeners have any really cool noise rock bands that are current, feel free to comment and let me know. I'd like to check it out because I enjoy the aesthetic of that kind of music. There aren't really any bands I could think of that are current right now that I'm into, but I do like that whole kind of that raw sort of sound like that. So
cool.
Andy, what do you think?
Sweet Surrender.
It's sweet surrender. Hell yes.
Yeah.
The pants are off again.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. Again, I've never heard this song before, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I would love this album. It's on my list, like I said. I said that about Cheap Trick last week. Stooges, too. It's just, I don't know. I'm in that lazy phase of life where you just keep listening to the stuff that you
that you're
liked for the last
already.
20 years. Yeah,
we're getting a cool mix of stuff so far.
Yeah,
and I'd like to just in general amongst ourselves and anybody who listens to the show is maybe some new discoveries, which are I plan on as we move forward picking stuff that I've never heard but I've heard of or maybe know of the band or something to just. Expand the horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
Because again, we're pushing 900 songs, right?
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's 10 years almost.
Yeah,
to this
well,
shit.
and 900, and then every fourth week a song that's not even on it.
Right.
So.
All right. So, 3 sweet surrenders. You know what that means?
All right, Hammond. I got a question for you.
You know what? That show that this is recorded from, I'm fairly certain our friend Phil told me that same sister of his was there.
I could see that
at this show.
Yeah, she would have been.
Iggy chasing her through the concourse, the Hammond Civic Center.
all the way.
Yeah.
All the way from the Parthenon to where the Civic Center is, down the street.
Oh, that's right. It was at the Parthenon.
Like a mile away.
A mile away.
Shirtless in the dead of winter.
We're getting into 10 to midnight territory here.
Exactly. Stark and
More
fucking naked.
More Charles Bronson.
Chasing after.
No, we won't.
Well, see, I was just about to say, if you've never seen that movie, don't watch the trailer because they have the fucking ending in it.
That's insane.
It's like, what is that? I didn't put two and two together with that other video you made, but then I watched the trailer. It's like, that's the fucking ending.
What an ending it is. We won't go into it, but what an ending.
Oh, it's like stamping out a cigarette at the end. It's like, oh, game over, movie over, and no credits.
Anybody listening, if you don't
cut to black,
if you don't care if you see the ending or not, it's the see you at 10. See you at 10 to midnight is the name of the on our Pot of Thunder YouTube.
We'll put a link
yeah.
up. But yeah,
I spent a lot of time on that. I watched it the other day.
It's really good.
I mean, there's even bonus stuff that has no music to it.
Yeah,
just stuff that was so great.
Couldn't keep it out.
Great Bronson kills I had to put on.
Bronson kills. All right. So, were you guys happy yesterday during 100,000 years when Paul said, "I got a question for you"?
Yeah.
Did the exact same.
Well, he had a
delivery.
lot of questions for the audience last
did.
night. I counted at least 5.
How many times did he say Chicago? Would you say 25?
That's the
30?
best. Yeah. Do you remember that show we did that one time when I kept doing that to an obnoxious level, screaming it as loud as I could, and it was like silent at the venue. I just kept screaming Chicago to where people were getting irritated.
That was a punk kind of an attitude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always go over.
Yeah.
That's one word I would describe the Flying Errands at, and I mean it in the best possible way. Subversive.
Yeah.
No fucks given about any conventional approaches to anything, really. That's the very definition of it, in my opinion. So, well, my vote's in, obviously, so go around the room, reverse cowgirl.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the only way it could end.
Yeah. That's what Iggy had in mind for Phil's sister, among other things.
I take the reverse cowgirl when I want it.
It does allow you. It does allow you to stick it deep inside, I would say.
The physics of it.
Yeah.
The slightest degree of misalignment can lead to disastrous results.
Exactly. It's a walk on the edge.
All right, Nick, is your vote in?
Yeah.
-2. Ready when you are, Chris.
And how do? Oh, okay, got it. All right.
3 unanimous.
Scott,
Right.
style.
Right. That's good. I like it because when it's the three of us, it's Bon Scott style, and then on the occasions we have a guest, it's the fully formed phrase. So, rock,
roll.
Boner.
All right.
It's a rockin' bone,
There it is.
What happened to the Pete Weber version, dude?
Oh, I didn't know that was permanent.
Oh, fuck yeah,
Oh,
it is.
You could
Play
that.
it. Well,
Play
this
that one
deserves
too.
2,
Why not?
yeah.
Oh, hang on.
The bowling pins at the beginning will contribute to the primal nature of it, I think. That and just the outburst.
Bowling's pretty primal, really.
It is.
All right.
It's a rockin' bone,
Say, did it right?
Get it right.
Get it right.
It's his version of sort it out,
Yeah.
if you will.
It is.
He takes the spare and picks it up when he wants it.
Apologies to Gregory Hines, but that's got to be the permanent
right.
rock and roll boner.
We'll make it that way. All right.
Well, that's good because I was prepared for the worst, and I was just going to comment under that circumstance that, I kind of lost my innocence during the 2000 Man episode. I hadn't. It didn't even occur to me that wouldn't even not only not make it to the second round of voting, but be elevated to SKKK status.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about primal? I instantly reacted angrily, violently, and I just was. After that, I was just like, you know what? That's not going to happen again. People, they have their opinions, and I've experienced that shock already. Everything else is just going to let it roll off my back. But I'm glad you guys appreciated it to that level. Again, I encourage you guys and everybody else listening, if you haven't heard this, to listen to it. It's perfect. Desert Island album for me. 36 minutes long. Just great shit. And thanks again to Jeff. Simply Jeff.
All natural Jeff.
Yeah.
And also, the beginning of this week's show, who submitted the welcome to the show
that was,
Pot of Thunder theme?
That was one of the hosts of my personal favorite hard rock podcast.
What was that?
That was Mark from the Hard Rocking Trivia Show.
Oh,
nice.
Thank you, Mark.
Glad to hear from him.
Thank you, Mark. All right, and if anyone disagrees with what we said, I'm sorry.
That's just the fucking way it is.
And oh my gosh, it's already March.
Sing away. Yes, Chief.
Oh, goodness.
Baseball season starts in March now, doesn't it?
Yeah. How about that indeed? And here we go. It's time for a Yardo Questions. Everyone's favorite segment where you, the listeners, submit not one, not two, but 3 questions.
Are we still getting new submissions?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Decent clip there?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Here we go. This looks like a winner to me.
Simply Ralph.
Well,
Simply Ralph was the guy you saw puking in a horizontal garbage can last night in the concourse of the United Center.
that was pretty wild. There was a
what a crazy crowd, man! These middle-aged people are like freshmen in college.
Yeah.
You turn them loose away from the kids.
That's what happens.
Away from the jobs, they go fucking ape shit.
You know what I think it is? It's when you're not used to doing that anymore. Then you go back to it like you did when you were younger, and you built up some tolerance, and the body
Plus,
was
there's
able to handle more.
There's a level of not really being concerned when you're out with your buddies.
Yeah.
And you really, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of recklessness that you enjoy in those situations.
Right. There was a pile of puke I saw coming from... So, like if you're walking through the concourse, it's like a round thing at one of these big, like a stadium. And then there's like halls jutting out from it, like towards an exit.
Yeah.
So coming from one of those, I see a puddle of puke that sprayed into the common area. I'm like, what's going on over there? I was like, is that puke, or did someone drop like a chocolate shake or something? It was like chunky and kind of brown.
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh. And I look, and there's a tipped over garbage can. I'm like, oh, did the garbage can just get knocked over? But then I see
a tipped over human,
a human, shoulders to the feet, sticking out of the garbage can,
laying in the
garbage can.
Come on,
and he's heaving, throwing up. Like, what is that?
Laying in the garbage can.
Like, wouldn't the angle of throwing up down into the garbage can be better?
It's not going to stay in the garbage can. Garbage cans aren't made that way.
Yeah, and it's going to get on you.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to just roll right out of the garbage can onto you.
Whoever fucking had to clean that up, it's like, God damn it.
Yeah. Well, we saw them preparing.
Yeah.
We saw them putting rubber gloves on and like
standing
shaking
around
their
the
heads.
guy waiting for him to finish.
Yeah, there were like 3
come
stadium workers like shaking their heads, kind of laughing a little bit, but putting on
Yeah,
rubber
but then
gloves.
the reality of what you need to do to rectify that situation kicks in. It's like, I didn't need this asshole in my life tonight. you know?
Although the mental image I'm getting is pretty hysterical.
Oh, absolutely.
Laying inside of the garbage can. Get out of here.
Yeah. The bathroom is like straight across the hall, like 20 feet.
That's one of those situations where you think like, okay, anybody in their right mind, logical thinking, reasonable. That's not where this guy was.
No. I felt kind of bad for him, but also like, come on, dude. And also, let me mention, this is before Kiss started.
Oh,
so this is
man.
while the guy, David Garibaldi's painting. Everyone's like, getting their food and their beers.
His frantic brushstrokes must have sent this guy over the edge.
Yeah, he has epilepsy
He
something.
tried following it, and his eyes started crossing, and forget it, and I'm puking.
Yeah. You would think that there would be a security to toss the guy out at that point, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Not security in a hazmat suit.
Good for him. Yeah. And he wasn't like totally unconscious, in case you were wondering. Because I saw his head poke out.
He was continuing a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, with no one, just talking to himself.
Oh, I really hope they play Modern Day Delilah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
He was voice texting to someone.
Hear the echo coming out of the garbage can. I hope that's someone who listens, actually.
That'd be great. All right.
They can tell us more about this.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more. What happened? Something didn't agree with this guy, especially so early in the night. All right.
Oh, man.
So, this week's Yardo Questions comes to us from Simply Peter.
Okay.
Just one-word names coming at us this week.
Yep.
That's okay.
No work. Did wonders with the songs. So let's see.
Yeah, let's keep the theme rolling here. Hi, Andy. Great show. That's not even on the thing. That's just me thinking out loud. Thanks for the hours of entertainment. That's what I say in the mirror every day. All right. 1. Can you please describe the perfect pizza?
All right. Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it to us, Nick.
I'm gonna go with, just for me, combo that I love. We're gonna go deep dish, the cornmeal kind of a Geno's Yeast,
The crust.
Lou Malnati's kind of crust.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna go with pretty simple pomodoro tomato sauce.
Listen to you.
Uh,
I feel like you prepared your answer ahead of time.
We're gonna
Pomodoro.
we're gonna go.
Simply Pomodoro.
It's the only brand I buy.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get an endorsement out of Thunder.
Hey,
We'll take it.
He's no worse than anybody else.
Yeah.
Pesto for sure.
Pesto.
Yeah,
Oh.
big time. Either the expensive fancy pine nut based pesto, or it could be a walnut pesto. That's fine. Some bacon, kind of shredded up or crumbled up.
Wow, bacon too.
Some Swiss cheese mixed in with the mozzarella.
Swiss cheese.
Nick's a wild man.
Swiss, and I'm going to put kale on it.
Kale.
Swiss,
Okay.
kale, tomato sauce, and bacon is.
That's the combination.
I've stumbled upon that combination, and I'm a big fan. And goat cheese and artichokes.
Goat cheese,
You're just going
Swiss cheese, and mozzarella.
Yeah. Yep.
Jesus.
on. Wow.
Goat cheese on the top.
I'm going to have to get one of these from you. Because I don't think this can be... This is like something you make.
This is something that I work on.
I think you should come rolling in here next week with one of them pizzas.
See what I can do.
I'll save
Well,
my appetite.
Chris-
Simply, what is it? Pomodoro. Pomodoro. Okay, simply Pomodoro.
Which is just a
Sounds like a 50s hairstyle.
just a fancy way of saying a tomato sauce.
Whatever.
Yeah, and Chris has seen my my little outdoor pizza oven, my portable
Yeah,
one.
I think you need to come
Pizza
roll.
all the time. It advertises on the box, and
It's true, huh?
it's true.
Theme song, amalgamation of the Eddie Murphy classic, which I think is on the list, actually.
I think
is.
so, yeah. Chris, what about you?
For me, it's if we're talking local places, I will also say deep dish, but it's got to be the Pequod's caramelized crust, which is pretty well approximated by the Little Caesars deep. You know, I'm not just saying that as a Little Caesars fan. They do a pretty fucking good job with that for $8, right?
Yeah, I agree. It is surprisingly good.
And as far as toppings, I love me some anchovies. Not a lot of people do. I'm one of them. But the one topping you gotta have onion.
Oh, okay.
How do you do your onion? Do you like a crunch to it, or do you like
white onion?
Okay, but not like caramelized sort of thing.
White onion bits. Gotta have it. I mean, if I don't have it, I'm still gonna stick it deep inside on a pizza. But,
but
if I'm ordering and I got the option, I'm getting onion. Gotta have it.
All right, question 2, very similar but different. Can you please describe the perfect hamburger? Let's go with Chris first on this one.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Give me a pretzel bun. Gotta have one of those. It's one of the great things that have become commonplace in cuisine over the past 5 or 10 years or so. And that's pretty much it. Again, anything else I can work with it. I quality beef, medium to medium rare, a little redness in there.
Cheese?
Yeah, I'd take it or leave it.
Really?
I will say I'm not a huge fried egg on the hamburger kind of guy. I'll do it, but it wouldn't be my first go-to. But gotta have the pretzel bun.
Nick?
I'll pass. No, I haven't had one, but I've been, and this is gonna be of complete disinterest to any of our red-blooded, hamburger eaters out there. But
that's what the listeners are called. The hamburger eaters.
The people who assert themselves in a primal way.
Yeah. Red-blooded beef eaters.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to try. But stumbled upon the combination of black bean and sweet potato, and I've seen that there are hamburgers like sort of because I mentioned it before. I'm not a fan of your typical run-of-the-mill ground beef hamburger.
Sure.
But I have been meaning to check out something like that. But as far as actually giving an answer, no, I don't like hamburgers. That's where it stands.
When's the last time you had one?
Probably 15 years.
Shocking.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Mine was
I work with someone who doesn't like hamburgers either. It's just baffling. But hey, to each their own.
Hot dogs probably 30 years.
30 years, huh?
25, 30 years at least, yeah.
Wow. Okay, question 3. Which country has the best food? Rock on. Thanks, Peter.
I'm not much of a world traveler. I've been to the NAFTA countries.
I'm assuming he's meaning cuisine.
Just like
do you have a
yeah.
Mexican or Italian or French or something?
Yeah.
My favorite food is Mexican food. Fucking love it. All varieties. People get hung up. Oh, that's not really Mexican. It's Tex-Mex. I don't give a fuck.
Me neither. That's kind of annoying.
It's got that twist to it. I will scarf it down gladly. Scarf it down and shit it out a couple hours later.
If that.
Both gladly.
Lay down in a toilet.
Yeah.
Take care of it that way.
Sideways toilet. Ass in a sideways
the
toilet.
Shit version of a urinal. It's a sideways, floor to floor, all the way to the floor urinal. Just lay on your side and take a shit in it.
That's kind of Mr. Baseball. There's a scene where he's trying to figure out how to use one of those in Japan.
The hole in the floor.
Toilet,
yeah. I'd have to say it's I don't know. Like I do love Mexican food. Italian, of course. So many great things in Italian food.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some of the Thai stuff I've had is pretty great too.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
But
Thai done well. So
probably my go-to. I'd say it would be more Italian.
Okay.
Eggplant Giovanni's, perhaps.
There you go.
Nice crispy.
Takes them 2 hours to serve it, but it's worth every minute.
Yep. All right, well, there you have it. And if you want to submit your Yardo questions, go to potofthunder.com, click Yardo questions. I don't know. What is that? I don't go there anymore.
It's there.
It's up there.
It's up there. It's right on the top. If you want to submit a song, there's a button on the top that says submit a song. And there you go.
Yeah.
Now, don't expect to hear it next week because it's Nick's off-script independent pick.
And I've got
it's going to be a week then. Percolating anticipation.
I've got it already decided.
All right.
Ready to go.
You're ready, huh?
It's hard to not go back and consider other ones, but I've told myself I'm just going to stick with it.
Might as well. I mean, get it done. Just go with your gut and put it out there.
That's what I'm doing.
Got plenty of time to get to this stuff.
Throw one out there.
All right. And this might not be an appropriate way to end the show, but since we talked about being subversive so much, let's just go ahead and do this.